No, it looked like the game was just sort of drifting towards a 0-0, but it was a big moment. I think that coming out the other side of a game like that, a struggle, it reminded me of a game from yesteryear where not a lot of football was great, particularly in the final third. Two teams looked more worried about defensive than attacking, and you don't normally see that in the modern game. Both teams very solid, and yet something happened for Arsenal, and they've not been coming out on the right side of those enough over the last few years, and that, I think, is a big moment for them.
Do you think the impact of Declan Rice shouldn't be underplayed here? That they've stopped Manchester City scoring for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I feel like Declan was that player to bring Arsenal to that next level. Obviously, putting Partey, who's back as well, is going to put a bit of pressure on him as well. But he can deal with pressure. He's such a young man who's experienced enough. He's played for England at World Cups, and he's in an Arsenal team that are winning, in an Arsenal team that are young and hungry and want to chase Man City. And they want to be that elite team, and they are. They generally are. When you beat Man City, you can be on par with them. And like I said, it is something different today, which we've not seen Arsenal do. It's not the same old Arsenal we're used to seeing. But Declan today, yes, I feel like at times he can be a bit more effective, but in a role. But his role today,
in terms of what,
well, in his role today was to protect that back four. Simple as that. I didn't really see him break forward like he does with the ball, like he did in his West Ham days from deep. That wasn't his role today. I feel like Mikel he's setting himself sort of targets each and every game, and I feel like today it was definitely a factor for him.
So instead of being emotional like you've talked about before, Gary, was this disciplined, measured? Was this the plan from Arsenal this afternoon?
They showed good concentration. I thought the two centre-backs, look, the first half an hour, 45 minutes maybe even, they were nervy. Really nervy. In fact, all the Arsenal players, including players like Ødegaard, who you ordinarily think are so smooth on the pitch, but the two centre-backs were excellent. Saliba and Gabriel were brilliant, and they actually held them together in that first half. And in the second half, the players in front of them started to play better and responded from going in at half-time 0-0. But I think there was a concentration and focus to Arsenal today, a seriousness to them I've asked for in these big matches. It's not all about beautiful football, and there was very little beautiful football out there today. That was, just, like I say, a big struggle for both teams. You never saw Declan Rice going forward, but you also never saw any of the great players on the pitch really achieving anything. City have gone to become a really dour defensive team, they're miserable to play against. You think of that Chelsea Mourinho team when you couldn't score a goal against them. City have become a little bit like that, and Arsenal had to be like that today. Even taking Zinchenko off, who was doing OK, by the way. Putting Tomiyasu on and becoming a big back four, putting Partey in midfield against Declan Rice, actually taking a step back to potentially go forward and becoming more solid and less attacking, won them the game. It's interesting. I think Arteta, he went up in my estimation. He's gone up in my estimations a lot over the last few years, but that was a big game to... Are you all right?
It's Mikel Arteta.
that was a big game for Mikel Arteta to win a struggle like that against Pep Guardiola.
Do you think they're better placed to win a title this year after a performance like that, more measured? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot here.
Well, I'm the only person who's actually predicted they're going to win the title.
Well, yeah. Well, what do you think?
The reason I predicted them to win the title was because I felt they got close last year, and I think they'll be close again. And I just thought there would be a treble hangover for City of what's City's cause this year. You've achieved utopia. You can't do any more than winning the treble.
They could become the first side to win 4 consecutive league titles.
But when you've fought so long, so hard to win a Champions League like they have, particularly, and then you've won the treble and you've repeated what Manchester United have done, there's got to be that little bit of a... And I remember my most difficult season ever for United was the season after the treble. We did win the league, but the other teams weren't very good that season. But I had a nightmare that season. It just took so much out of me the previous season. I think there'll just be an element of these City players just having a bit taken out of them from last season. And what is their cause this season? Now, look, they've taken a couple of punches on the chin in the last couple of weeks, so they might have just been woken up early enough. And don't write Manchester City off. Absolutely not. But something's happening. Wolves, Newcastle, now Arsenal losing a game like this. So things that haven't happened too much in the past are starting to happen in front of their eyes.